My name is Roxanna. As you guys know, we're going to do a very healthy food demo about some of our favorite foods, one being a tuna fish salad, the other one's going to be a mac and cheese. However, before we get started, I have to get legality stuff out of the way. So we're going to go over a waiver. I just want you guys to know anything I give or say today is not to be used for medical advice. So I'm just going to read this verbatim. It's just going to say, I, your name, understand that Organized Life by Roxanna, Next Village, San Francisco, are not held liable for my decision to take any of the given nutritional information. I know that before starting a new diet or making any changes to my current diet, I need to consult my primary care physician or healthcare professional, especially if I've been ill, breastfeeding, pregnant, maybe pregnant, have specialty dietary requirements or medical requirements, are a child, or are elderly. I will not use any of the information given in the seminar as an alternative to heal any illness I may have. I will not use this information in lieu of professional medical advice or information given to me from my healthcare provider. Should I have any questions regarding my medical health, I should consult with my primary physician or healthcare provider. I certify that I have read this document and fully understand its content. I'm aware that this is a release of liability waiver and a contract, and I sign it on my own free will. All right, you guys, you should also receive the recipe that also included all the equipment needed for today. I don't know if anyone is cooking along with me or if you guys are just gonna watch and learn and take notes, do whatever makes you feel comfortable. The first recipe we're gonna do is tuna fish salad. We're gonna make it first because I do want to let that dish kind of sit and marinate. I feel like the flavors come through as more time goes on. This is a plant-based meal, it's vegan. It's also a raw vegan, so that means we're not gonna cook anything. It's also soy-free, gluten-free, low in sodium, oil-free, and nut-free. So if you guys have any nut allergies, this one's really good. So obviously we're gonna need a mixing bowl. I have a glass one, right? We have a blender. I'm using a NutriBullet, cutting board, knife, and a soft spatula. I always like to demo that I'm gonna wash hands because people need to know that before cooking. So you guys can go ahead and hear that. So you guys know I'm being very safe and clean here, even though the only person I'm feeding is myself. Still, I like to practice healthy habits. Okay, guys, I'm gonna scroll down on this other screen. So if you guys are following along, you can see the stuff included. So for our jackfruit, or our fish today, it's gonna be jackfruit, okay? So for those of you not familiar with jackfruit, it is a tropical fruit. I like to buy it canned because if you buy fresh jackfruit, the meat is gonna be much hard and not as tender. So I like to make sure that mine is canned. And the only place I can find it canned that I really like is Trader Joe's. It comes in brine. So if you guys are really trying to watch your sodium intake, please feel free to rinse your jackfruit before ingesting, okay? So this has already been wiped down, but I always like to wipe the top of my cans. You don't know if they've been sitting there for a while. I like to get the dust off. And here's our can opener. Now, another good trick, if you guys are not minding your sodium, save the brine. You can use the brine to be a liquid for your sauce, right? We're gonna make our own mayo, if you will. So I'm going to save mine. I'm not too concerned with sodium. And I'm just gonna pour it out here. This is the step here where if you guys wish, go ahead and run this can underneath a sink and get rid of the extra salt. Okay, like I said, I'm keeping mine. Now here's where we can have some fun, okay? Just like when we were kids, we're gonna play with our hands. If you don't like using your hands, you can grab two forks and just shred it like how you do with any pulled pork or chicken that you've slow cooked for a while. So it has a texture. For those who are not cooking along with me, I'm gonna try to get close to the camera. So here's one piece. And if you just pull it apart, it literally looks like chicken breast or pork, okay? So when you pull it apart, you're gonna also notice pods, and these pods are what the seeds are. And so see that circular? Some of you may not like it because it does not have the same texture. This texture has a texture of when you guys get calamari, right? Those little suction cups. So if you don't like it, you can omit them. So you can take them out. I don't like them, so I'm just gonna keep the rest of the part. And I'm gonna pour it right here in my mixing bowl. The thing I like about jackfruit, it's so versatile. I have other recipes I use with it. I do a pulled pork. And we're just gonna make our way through this. Now this recipe is gonna be about 1 to 2 servings, depending if this is gonna be your meal, like maybe a lunch. If it's gonna be a snack, then you can have 2 servings out of it. Just kind of depends on how hungry you are. Any questions so far while I'm doing this? Because I really don't have much to talk about the jackfruit. Nope. All right. Well, let's see. Another thing that you guys are probably noticing on the recipes, I didn't include onions. I know a lot of people are like a love-hate relationship with onions. Maybe you want to eat and then go out somewhere and not have to worry about your breath. So I kind of omitted them, even though I know a lot of people traditionally leave onions in this recipe. Also, like I said earlier, we are going to make our own mayo, and that's the next ingredient on our list. We're going to make it out of hemp hearts. So I'm going to talk about that while doing this. In case you guys don't know what hemp hearts are, it's just hemp seeds is another name for them. And they're really high in protein. They're amazing. They're low in fat. Got this one in front of me. So no sodium, no cholesterol, right? Because a lot of plant-based foods don't have cholesterol. But protein is 10 grams per serving, okay? These are awesome. Just like with any nut or seed, it's going to be high in protein and fat. So this is no different. Anyways, I'm almost done here. There's the bowl. Good question. So you guys kind of see, even has a color of meat, right? It even looks like it. So I always say, if you can kind of get yourself to fall in love with what you see, it makes you want to eat it more, right? Because half the thing with tasting and enjoying your meal is how pretty it looks or authentic it looks. So for those of you who are kind of cautious about not eating real fish, it looks like it from afar and it's going to taste like it, okay? But it's going to be so much healthier because we're not having all that salt that fish normally does. And we're going to move on to our celery next. So celery, I'm just going to use half a stalk to be chopped in here, and then the other half I'm going to use for our mayo. So I'm going to rinse this real quick. I always like to make sure I rinse my foods right before I use them so they don't wilt or go bad. I'm just going to cut off the white. Let me move the bowl. I like to remove the white part, cut off the ends. Here's my toss. And I'm just doing half, okay? So I slice it long ways first, and one more time so I get fourths. I like my celery to be really small and diced. I don't like huge chunks in mine. So if you guys like yours bigger, by all means, go right ahead. All right. Go ahead and mince that down. And done. Okay. Here goes the celery in with our jackfruit. Now, since we're already prepping the celery for this, let's go ahead and prep the celery for our sauce. So what I like to do is, I think my NutriBullet can handle it, but I'm going to go ahead and just make it very small chunks and toss that in. Okay, pickles. So a lot of people have their own opinion about pickles. I always like mine to be dill. But you do what works for you. We're gonna do the same thing we did to the celery. Anyone who's looking for salt content, you guys can rinse this under cold water. Helps you get rid of some of the salt you don't want. I'm gonna keep mine, chop off the end. Okay, I'm cutting it in half, because like I said earlier, we're gonna do the same thing we did to our celery. So half will go into our mayo. So there, I just chunked those slices right there. This other half, I'm gonna cut into long halves and then quarts. And then I'm gonna chop it finely here, little tiny cubes. Okay. And let's go ahead and go through it with the knife one more time. Okay, and that is done. Let's bring it back to the mixing bowl. So like I said, this is only for 1 to 2 servings. So yeah, you're thinking only half a pickle, half a celery, only 1 can. But this is just gonna probably be my lunch for today. So if you guys wanna make it for a bigger party, I don't know who's doing parties now, but you know what I mean. Obviously you guys can double everything. Okay, so for our fish flavor, in the recipe, I either put dulse powder or seaweed snack. I feel like the dulse powder may be difficult for some of you to find. Basically, it's just powdered algae that's been, dehydrated. This is obviously something we're all used to. It's the seaweed snacks that some of us like. If you don't have either, if you guys have any of those sushi rolls, you guys can also use 1 sheet or half. Yeah, it's called nori. So you guys can do that as well. I'm using this one because dulse powder was a little hard for me to find this week, but either will work, and we're just doing it to get that fishy taste, okay? If you guys don't like the fishy taste in tuna fish salad, which some of them think it's maybe too strong, you know what? You can only put half of this or omit it completely, because some people actually don't like it, which I think is interesting for people who do eat tuna fish salad. Okay, so I've cut half, and I'm gonna reserve the other half for my mayo to make those bigger chunks. And those bigger chunks are gonna go right in here. And the rest of the half that's on the board, we're gonna make them nice and small. Okay, bring my bowl back. And here is now my seaweed snacks in the bowl. Okay, so I'm gonna give this a quick toss, trying to let all those juices marinate, because we do have the juices from the pickles, the jackfruit, and celery. And the more you can let this marinate, the better. So I've got a spoon. Just gonna give that a quick toss. I know some people like to use lemon in it to make it bright. I actually don't care for lemon, but if you do, you can go ahead and squeeze a lemon in there. All right, we're making our way down the list. So I'm gonna actually just squirt a little yellow mustard. If you guys don't like yellow mustard, feel free to use regular mustard. If you don't wanna use any mustard, maybe you don't like a kick in your tuna fish, you guys can omit it, but I actually do. I'm gonna do one little squirt, and then I'm gonna give it a final toss, and we're gonna work on our mayo. And like I said, everything I purchased is brand new for this demo, so I still had my paper on. There we go. Good, and that's really all you need. I feel like it's a strong enough kick for me. Okay, so if you guys are not using the brine because you want to be low sodium, go ahead and get half a cup of water. Just make sure it's room temp. I'm using my brine. I'm gonna put a little in. Remember, we already had half our celery in here. We have half our pickle and half of our seaweed snack. So I'm gonna start with 1/4 cup. So literally half of my half. And now we're gonna go ahead and add the nutritional yeast. If you guys don't know about nutritional yeast, and here is what the bag looks like from Trader Joe's. This is a really great alternative for anyone who wants to have a cheesy flavor, right? If you want to eat plant-based, because cheese does have a lot of cholesterol, fat, and sodium. However, I will warn you, it kind of looks like fish food. It has a texture of fish food. But once you eat it, as long as you blend it, it's really great. And it smells cheesy too. So it literally smells like if you opened up a box of Cheez-Its, right? So you get the smell of Cheez-Its without all that fake preservative stuff. So anyways, we're gonna take our nutritional yeast, and it says half a cup. So I'm gonna start with just 1/4 cup. I actually have my measuring cup here. So you always wanna start with little and then make your way up. And you may be wondering how we're doing here with sodium. It's only 10 milligrams. So you get all that cheesy flavor, hardly anything. And in it goes. Okay, now we're gonna make this a little white. We're gonna put those hemp hearts in I was talking about earlier. And these literally look like very tiny seeds. They're white and black. I don't know if you guys can see that so well. And these have no smell and practically no taste, but they do make things a little more thick and creamy. So like I said, if you want, you know, a nice faux mayo, this is what I use. So again, it says about half a cup to 1 cup. I'm gonna start off with 1/4 and then make my way up if I need it to be a little more. And that goes in. Okay, so we got our jackfruit, hemp hearts, yeast, celery, mustard, some black pepper if you wish. I always like mine to be fresh. And while I'm here, I might as well give this bowl a little loving. All right, and for salt, I'm not a fan of salt, but I'm just gonna add a pinch. I've got pink Himalayan salt, 1 tiny pinch, and a tiny pinch there, okay? Let's go ahead and put the lid on this. And we're gonna give this a good blend and see where we're at. And from there, we're just gonna adjust our sauce accordingly. Okay, So my blending's off screen because my plug's all the way here, but you'll hear it. I like to always stop my blender, regardless of what you have, NutriBullet or otherwise, halfway, because the stuff on top needs to go back down and get blend again. All right, now you guys see I actually do have a white creamy mixture. It does look like mayo with the chunks in it because it's the seaweed. Let's go ahead and open it up. See what that smells like. All right, so mine's a little watery, so I'm going to add some more substance to mine. So here's where I'm going to go with the rest of that 1/4 cup of hemp hearts, right? Because I only did a 1/4, and I said you can go up to half. And that's going to be it for that bag. Perfect. Okay, so there goes the hemp hearts. And I'm going to add the other half of my nutritional yeast. So I only did a 1/4 cup last time. So here's my other 1/4 cup. So now I'm hitting half a cup for both. Okay. Let's see if this gets a little thicker. If you guys like it watery, hey, by all means. I mean, texture is only based on your preference. So do what works for you. Okay, one more time. And stop halfway and blend again. Okay. Now let's go ahead and taste test. Let's see how our sauce is. Ooh, I'm going to show you guys the blades. See how kind of thick it looks like if I let it drip? Kind of has almost a mayo texture. And I have a testing spoon. Since this food is for me and not sharing, I am going to double dip, so don't judge me. It's pretty good. I'm going to need a little more salt, just a hint. It's very cheesy. And call me crazy, I'm just going to grab a tablespoon of pickle water, make it a little more salty, but the pickle water's got more of a kick. Okay, I think this is going to be my last blend, and we're going to put this guy to rest because he tastes really good to me. And stop halfway, good shake. Okay, last time. Okay, now we're going to dress our salad. So here's my mixing bowl back. Looks like we have chat questions. Mine's blinking. Okay, so I'm going to try to do a slow pour so you guys can see that this thing came out quite thick. Do you guys see that? And I'm going to bring the bowl up close. And I'm pouring the whole thing on top. I like mine drenched. Grab my spoon and start mixing away. Now, some of you guys may want to put this in the refrigerator. I don't like my foods chilled. If anyone was in my digestive seminar, I like to eat my foods either at room temperature or warm. That's just a preference. Just make sure you give it a good swirl. And then you guys can cover and refrigerate, or you can just cover and let sit out, which is what I'm going to do. Okay, let's see if I pick up my camera and show you guys final product. So can you guys actually hear that creaminess? That means we've created something very thick with that sauce. It kind of sticks to the spoon. You did a good job. Okay, guys, so we're going to let that sit because, like I said, those flavors need to marinate. I'm going to go ahead and bring your attention back to the other Roxanna that's on here, which is my laptop. And I want you guys to see the difference of what we did with this recipe. So you guys can see a regular tuna fish salad has 383 calories per serving. Mine only has 234, okay? Pretty significant. Sodium is huge. We've slashed it by half. 824 milligrams of sodium in regular tuna fish salad. Mine's only 415, okay? More than half. Fat, 19 grams of fat in your regular tuna fish salad. Mine only has 9. Also, there are different types of fat. There's good fat and bad fat. So we have 9 grams of good fat. Protein, yeah, we took a hit. 33 grams found in protein in this original tuna fish salad. We have 17.1. You really can't complain. It's still a significant amount. Carbs, 19 grams in your original tuna fish salad. Only 8 grams of carbs in mine. Cholesterol is amazing. We have 0 milligrams of cholesterol. regular tuna fish salad has 27 milligrams of cholesterol. You can't be beat. If it's covered in a Tupperware, because it's plant-based, things do last longer, right? Because you don't have dairy or eggs or meat going bad. So I can keep mine there for a few days, but just because I eat everything, they don't last. Food doesn't last long for around me. But I would say maybe 5 days you're pushing it, but it's up to you. Anything in the fridge technically should last 2 weeks, but because we're trying to eat healthy, you want to think about all of those vitamins and nutrients are going to become lost, right? Because the more something oxidizes, you're going to lose its nutrient value. So you can definitely meal prep this if you want. Just make sure that, you know, for optimal health, it will be best for half a week. But yeah, you guys can have it stay there for a week or two. Just know that you're not getting in all those nutrients, but you're never going to get that fat come back in. I can tell you that much. Okay. Any other questions? I'm switching over on the other side to show you guys the recipe for our mac and cheese, which I'm sure some of you guys are excited about because we have the holidays coming up and a lot of us do a mac and cheese as a side dish. So you guys, this one's also vegan or plant-based. However, it is not raw. Whoops, I think I actually have a typo there. It's cooked, okay? Sorry about that. It is cooked, soy-free still, gluten-free, low in sodium, oil-free, and nut-free. Can't get any better than that. So the equipment we're gonna need is obviously the stove behind me. I've got a pot here. I'm still gonna use my NutriBullet blender and a small grater for my nutmeg. I like to have fresh nutmeg, but if you guys already bought powdered nutmeg, that's fine, but I like mine fresh, so I have a little grater. And then a peeler, obviously. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead with our pasta. So because of pasta, like I said earlier, I'm also gluten intolerant or allergic. I got myself some lentil-based pasta, so that way it's gluten-free. And the great thing about it, it's gonna be super high in protein. Regular pasta only has a few grams, right, of protein, not too much. This one, for a serving, it already has 13 grams of protein. So this one's a red lentil. I've seen a lot of other companies do a lentil-based pasta or they do a black bean pasta. The only thing, or even chickpea pasta, the only thing I'm gonna say is if you're gonna do a vegetable-based pasta, they cook so much more quickly. So it's probably under 10 minutes. So 8 to 9 minutes tops, you're done. It's gonna be al dente. Regular pasta can go between 10 to 15, maybe longer. So definitely keep an eye on your pasta. Don't forget about it because unfortunately, it's just like any pasta, it's gonna get all smushy and kind of have to throw it out at that point. But anyways, I've opened my bag. I'm gonna go ahead and fill this with water. And turn on my stove. Put it here. There we go. All right, now I know everyone likes to typically put a little salt in their pasta water. I'm not a big fan of salt, but what I do like to do is I like to season it with whatever I'm already putting in. So while the pasta cooks, it kind of absorbs those flavors. So you guys can see here, let me scroll down. Actually, let's look at that recipe. So for my seasonings, I have some cayenne, paprika, optional. I know not everyone likes a spicy mac and cheese, and garlic, okay? So I'm gonna put those in the water. So when I throw my pasta in, it's kind of already infused, and that's my little secret to making things extra flavorful. So there we go with that, and done. Okay, so while that's boiling, let's go ahead and prep our veggies. So I've got a tiny small pot of veggies. Now, we're not gonna use a whole carrot. I think we're only gonna use half the carrot. And I've got 2 potatoes. Okay, so let's get rid of this guy. So all we're gonna do here is we're gonna peel. And the only reason I'm using half the carrot is because I personally don't like my mac and cheese too sweet, right? And that's what the carrot does, it kind of gives it its sweetener. We're just wanting to use the carrot to give that orange flavor or that orange color, right? That's what we kind of want in our mac and cheese. Anyone who grew up on a blue box mac and cheese, you know who it is. Or maybe you guys have that microwavable decadent cheese. Do you guys know which one it is? They're very orange and bright. So I just want to, again, appeal to the eyes, appeal to those vision senses, right? And make it look all nice and enticing, okay? Let's get rid of that, clean up my board. Okay, let's cut half that carrot. I'm gonna go with the tinier half. And that I'm just gonna put in the pot. This other half carrot, I'll probably use that to dip with my tuna fish salad later. Okay, you're gonna peel the potatoes. Yes, I know, there's a famous quote in that movie, Big Fat Greek Wedding. What are you doing? I peel the potatoes. That's what we're doing, we're peeling the potatoes. So I'm gonna use the potatoes in this recipe because we want it to be thick, right? You don't want your cheese to be thick, just like any cheese you'd use in your mac and cheese. It's a very thick sauce. So the starch in the potatoes is what's gonna help make that happen. Because we're not using any of those fake processed, vegan or plant-based cheeses, which you can, but we're trying to be really healthy here, okay? We're trying to cut back on that sodium and just be all natural, okay? To make things boil a little more quickly, after I've done peeled this potato, I'm gonna chop it up half and then quarts. Good. Now this guy's gonna boil much more quickly and get soft on me much more quickly. Okay, I'm gonna put a quick pause on that potato, put my lid over here so this thing can boil much more quickly. We did get about a 10-minute late head start, but that's okay. It's gonna challenge me to hurry it up. Okay, so here's the second potato. If you guys are worried about eating too many carbs, I'm not gonna lie. You can, this will be a carb heavy meal, but mind you, there's different type of carbs, just like there's different types of cholesterol, different types of fat, different types of sugar, and different types of sodium. There's always good of all of that and there's bad. This is gonna be a healthier carb because you can literally see what you're eating. It's not processed. But if you wanna cut back, either do half a potato, so 1.5, or just stick to 1 potato, okay? I'm thinking you can still get a nice creamy cheese sauce with just 1 potato if you're really worried about your carb intake. All right, so I'm gonna cut this guy in half and then into quarts. And one more time. So when I come to boil those guys, it goes by nice and quick. Okay, throw some water on this, I'll be back. And I'm gonna put that on the stove, put on my lid. There it is. And turn this guy on. Nice and high. All right, my water over there is almost boiling, so I'm gonna throw my pasta in quickly or soon. Okay, let's get started with our cheese sauce. So going back to our ingredient list, we got pasta's waiting, nutritional yeast. Yeah, that guy, he's coming back again, you guys. This nutritional yeast is so multi-purposeful. I love it. So I'm gonna start off with a 1/4 cup again, because it's always easier to add than take away. And I'm telling you, it smells like Cheez-Its over here. And who didn't love the smell of Cheez-Its? Maybe we don't like how unhealthy they are, but now I'm not gonna pour that first because if you pour any dry ingredient on the bottom, it's just automatically gonna stick there and it's gonna be really hard to blend. So I've just measured that out. I'm gonna grab my plant-based milk. So here's my plant-based milk. I'm doing cashew. I think it's the only nut that passed my food allergy test that I was not allergic to. Put that aside, let me grab a cup. And we're gonna do 1/2 cup. Okay, we're gonna go in for the full half because we are gonna need a lot of liquid because once those vegetables come out, they're gonna need all the help they can get to blend. Okay, so here goes 1/2 cup. Now I'm gonna add the 1/4 cup nutritional yeast. And all the spices are gonna be optional. So I've got some chili powder, just a little, paprika, cayenne. Nutmeg, believe it or not, you don't taste it that much, but it does bring the flavors back together. I learned that trick from my mom. So I'm gonna grab my fresh nutmeg. If you guys don't remember what it looks like a little ball, and my little tiny grater, and have at it. You can put your store-bought powdered one, whatever you want. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a pinch of salt. I'm not a fan of salt, but you do you. Black pepper if you wish. Again, I know spice levels, everyone's different. And the only thing left is my garlic. You guys can use garlic powder or you can do fresh garlic like me. All right, my water is boiling, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the pasta. Whew. Stir it around. All right, we're good. Put my lid back on. And the thing is, we have to keep a close eye on that. Remember, that the whole thing is going to cook in less 8 to 9 minutes. If you're really worried, let's take that lid off. All right, going back to the garlic. Whew, that one just popped right out. All right. So garlic, again, I put a few cloves on the recipe list, but I'm probably going to put a lot more in the actual recipe today because I love my garlic, which is funny because I didn't care for my onions in tuna fish salad, but I like my garlic here. But mainly because I think this is a warm dish, so it's not going to be as pungent as opposed to if it was just straight raw garlic. Definitely want to keep an eye on that pasta. It's going to have me worried. There we go. All right. Any questions about what we're doing thus far for this recipe? Anything at all? I'm going to show you guys the nutritional information in just a minute, as soon as you're all done. Okay, I got my few cloves. No, nothing. All right. I know one time when I cooked this for another food demo group I was doing, an attendee was really curious to know if it tastes good. I said, well, I wouldn't be making if it didn't. It's not going to taste like your regular mac and cheese. I honestly think it's going to taste better in different ways. One, because we're making every ingredient and part of this fresh, right? Our own milk, our own cheese. So for me, it tastes better. Okay, so here goes our garlic right into my cup to blend. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for a second just because I want to see if my vegetables are done, because I can just add those in and blend all together. All right, they are coming along. The vegetables are not done yet. So I guess since I'm waiting, I'm gonna clean up a bit here. I am gonna blend this. Let's see where we are with just these ingredients. Here's my head. There we go. Let's go ahead and blend this. That way I can start fixing my spices, because I know once the vegetables come in, it's just gonna be color and starch, right? And stop, shake. Okay, let's go ahead and taste this. Okay, it's cheesy. I need a little more black pepper. I like a little more spice, so I'm gonna go for those guys again. I always hate admitting it when I need more salt, but gosh darn it, life is better with salt. But we're doing pink Himalayan, which is probably the best salt out there. Want to avoid any iodized salt, because that's processed, and really don't need all that extra iodine, okay? So pink Himalayan is something that you find naturally, and you're good to go. Or if not, you guys can do sea salt. Sea salt is just as good too. And let's see how we're doing now. Again, this one's just for me. I don't think anyone in my house is going to eat this mac and cheese, only because A, they don't like to eat carbs. There we go. That has a nice spicy kick. And B, I think it's just the dish they're not a fan of. So this is all mine, so that's why I'm double dipping. Let's check on that pasta. Okay, it's almost done. Check on my vegetables. Let's see if I can get a fork and pierce them. Okay, these guys are getting soft, just how I like it. And I know this is not a typical breakfast, but I also like to make my own cereal. And that you just take fresh berries or frozen berries and your plant-based milk. And then again, you can put dried fruit. You can put some nuts and seeds, coconut flakes, cacao nibs, which gives that crunch, and banana slices. And I swear you can't even tell that you're missing the cereal. It's literally all fruits, nuts, and seeds. And that's a really good breakfast alternative I like to do for plant-based. None of that preservative stuff, nothing out of a box. So I like to see if I can make everything myself. Not to say buying stuff is bad, but if you can be healthier, why not, right? I'm trying to think, what other good recipe? I do a pulled pork, a barbecue pulled pork with a coleslaw. I was debating between that one and mac and cheese, but I felt like it's the holidays. I think people will want mac and cheese more. But anyways, going back to the mac and cheese, this guy is done, so I'm gonna go ahead and strain him. So I'll be right back. Then strain that pasta. Turn it off. And here we go. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the pot, and then I'm going to try to pick up the camera like what I did last time and show you guys what it looks once I did the pour over. Yes, got to use those handles. Let's leave that guy here. Let the pasta cool. All right, vegetables are done. I'm going to turn that off and grab that. Strain those bad boys too. So I'll be back. Okay. Okay, so pasta's sitting in the pot cooling. I'm going to go ahead and pour these vegetables, which have now been very steamed or boiled, into the sauce. Do not drop them in there. You don't want anything to splash back at you. So I'm just going to do half the potatoes, see how I am with my thickness. I'm going to do the whole half a carrot, right? So half the potatoes right in, and I'm telling you, it's going to be magic. It literally looks like Velveeta. No one believes me when I tell them, but then when I show them, they're like, oh, you're right, it does. Okay, there's the other half. Let's see if we need them. All right, on with the lid we go. And into the blender. I'm definitely need the other half of those potatoes. So it's still too liquidy, but you guys can already see. Whew. Oh, let me finish showing you. Let me put the other half in here. I think we're gonna want it. I'm gonna give you guys the full effect of how creamy we can get it. Yep, there we go. Now let's try blending again. Okay, wipe the sides. Don't want to make too much of a mess here. And here we go. So you guys can hear it struggling. That means we were getting that creaminess. So yeah. Let's see how we're doing. Oh. Okay, guys, this is really creamy. If you guys can just see that, I'm gonna pick up the camera and show you guys. I'm just gonna do one more quick blend because I want to taste this and see if all the seasonings came together. So I'm gonna keep adding a little more salt. And I'm gonna go and add that other half of that nutritional yeast. So we only did a 1/4 cup. I'm gonna go for the other 1/4 cup. There we go. And like I said, a little more spice never hurt anybody, at least for me. And black pepper. Because when you do add the vegetables, right, it's gonna water down all the spices you had. So I was just trying to get myself a good base, give myself a head start. All right, maybe this will be the final blend and then we'll be good to go. Blend last time. And down. Okay. Oh yeah. Let me come around and get the camera. I'll do a slow pour over. Let's see if we can go for a, what do you guys call it? Orgasm. All right, so do you guys see how thick and creamy that looks? So when I do a pour over, you guys can see it has that fold over and there's no dripping, right? It's a nice, steady, thick flow. And I'm gonna use my spatula. Let's get in here and slowly turn it. So this is a thick sauce. So here's that starch kicking in for you guys, giving you that nice creaminess again with much healthy alternative, okay? Now, what I was doing while I was waiting is I was trying to go back to the nutritional information. Let me just give this guy a stir because I like everything to really settle and be covered. I want to make sure every pasta is totally saturated in this cheese sauce. And there you go. So this does make 2 servings, right? Unless you're really hungry, by all means. But 2 servings. So if you want to share or do half for lunch, half for dinner, whatever you're thinking, but that's it. Okay. Now, if you guys want it to be more orangey, because I didn't care for my sauce be too sweet, I only did half a carrot. So you can have it more orange, but at that point, you have to negate the sweetness of the carrot. So I'm going to flip you guys back around, and I want to bring your attention to the nutritional information, because this one is really fun in the sense of how many changes we have for our health benefits. So calories for regular mac and cheese is originally 310. The only reason we have more calories here is because we have pasta and potatoes, okay? So we kind of double dipped, but that's okay. Calories you can always burn, right? Stuff like sodium. Sodium's 869 milligrams. We only did 138, okay? That's huge. That's what, not even 1/4, okay? Fat, 9 grams of fat, we only have 2.5. And again, our fat's a healthy fat, so that's less than half. That's like not even 1/3. Protein, we killed it. Why? Because we did a plant-based pasta that was lentils. Lentils are high in protein. And we also have protein in our potatoes and carrots, believe it or not, right? So protein was 13 grams for regular mac and cheese. We had 22.2 grams. Carbs, yes, again, carbs, this is why we have high calories. Regular mac and cheese has 44 grams. We had 93.5, but mind you, our carbs, no 2 carbs are the same, right? It's not like we're eating bread that's processed. This is just straight potatoes that were boiled. Cholesterol, again, huge winner here, 15 milligrams compared to 0. So you can tell by just making a few switches in your recipes, or a lot, you can really get healthy, and not just make it so that you're just saving yourself calories or fat, but you're also getting a lot of nutrients out of it, right? These are nutrient dense. We ate straight up vegetables in both dishes. Now, for those of you who like to bake mac and cheese, go ahead and put this into a nice glass casserole dish. And what you guys can do is you can use some sesame seeds, maybe crunch them up a bit, go over them on a rolling pin in a bag, break them down, and lay that on top to have a nice little crunchy effect if you guys like a little crunch into your mac and cheese. If not, you can pour over some more nutritional yeast to give it a little extra cheesy flavor, and then go ahead and bake it in the oven. If you guys want to just take this and make it a baked mac and cheese. I know there's a lot of people who are either for stovetop or for oven, and I'm a stovetop person. And it took less than an hour for both of them. It probably took not even the better part of 40 minutes for both. We got a 10-minute late start and we finished 20 minutes early. So for under 40 minutes, two dishes, you can't complain.